Okay. I don't know the words. It's beautiful. Beautiful, baby.
A song about sailing across the sea to find love.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I read the lyrics. Because, of course, no one knows what those lyrics are.
I heard that there was rumor that it was about colonialism.
Well, according to the lyrics, that would be a far-fetched kind of idea.
Okay. I think when you don't understand the words, it goes sexual.
Yeah. Anytime you want. We're sexual beings who need sexual healing, especially in these days.
Hey, did you see Brig offered to be a guest on our podcast?
I saw that. I did.
So we got to do that.
I agree. What to talk about?
Mayonnaise.
I'm so glad you got that joke. So we're today, coming in live and clear on a Friday afternoon.
No, on a Monday.
Well, we're live Monday. We're live now, and then on Monday.
Yeah, the podcast goes live Monday, Mark. Thank you for reviewing the secret sauce to our fried chicken. Now everybody's just going to stay at home, make it themselves, and not come to our drive-thru. Thank you very much. Capitalism crash.
Well, it's good to know that I can still irk Wilker.
Oh, look at how you turned the table on that. That was pretty good. Yeah. So we're celebrating Juan Santamaría Day.
Yes, well, we're learning about what it means to celebrate Juan Santamaría Day.
No, we're celebrating.
Okay.
Fuck the filibusters. Fuck them.
Yeah. And the power of the drum.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, Juan Santamaría Rodriguez, who was born April 29th, 1831 and died in 1856, a very short life. He was a drummer in the Costa Rican army, and he's recognized as a national hero of his country for his actions in the Second Battle of Rivas during the, quote, Filibuster War. Greg, what was the Filibuster War about?
So this fucking idiot, I forget his name, from the U.S.
William Walker.
Is that his name? William Walker. He'd go to these small countries and start a war with the idea of taking over, and mostly for slave trade, like get slaves and just like suck the country dry. So he'd go in, I think he'd go in, like revolution, yay, but yeah, he'd start a war. And then
so Juan Santamaría, capitalism, colonialism. Yeah, and the reason we're celebrating Juan Santamaría Rodriguez is because he was just a dude who decided he was going to do something himself, and he lit fire to the garrison.
Keep going.
He was also a drummer, right? But there's a statue of him in Costa Rica which shows him bearing the torch. And so when you say torchbearer, you're actually making a reference to Juan Santamaría Rodriguez.
Wish I could sing that song in Spanish. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, that wasn't on the production notes for this week, but
no.
Neither was Louis. But I
gotta talk to Art, man. Art is really failing as our producer.
Actually, he's doing a pretty good job.
Really?
We have stuff to talk about.
Yeah, but seems like we have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, Art stands for already redundant. Thank you. Well, that was kind of an arty way of putting it, but anyway, I punned too much.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. So did you read up on Juan Santamaría?
Yeah, just a little bit. I wouldn't say I studied the situation. I just got enough of what it was that I shared. Um, from what I read, he didn't really consider himself. He was very modest. He didn't consider himself a hero, and it wasn't until 35 years after he died that they began to idealize him.
Yeah, they kind of used it as a way to celebrate their independence.
Yeah,
Telling
and
the
to
show
rally people
started.
around maintaining their independence.
Yeah, and kicking William Walker to the curb.
Costa Rica is a pretty amazing spot.
It is pretty amazing.
One of the things that people may or may not know is that Stephen Stills from Crosby, Stills and Nash was born there.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He's very white for a white guy.
Well, he's born to American parents, and his father was in the CIA, and he was stationed in Costa Rica. Little tidbit
Was his
there.
grandfather William Walker?
No. Yeah, so it's important for us to learn new things every week about anti-colonialism, so we can actually realize that manifest destiny was just BS.
Hey, did you yeah, but you know, the thing is, this is what I hate. I hate what I see as human attributes being attributed to a race or a culture. Like manifest destiny is just a human thing. Like, I mean, that label is a label, but humans have been out to conquer. That's a human thing, to conquer other civilizations.
Well, manifest destiny was just a doctrine that was issued by an organization, an institution, to justify the kind of land piracy that they ended up,
Right,
using
but
as an excuse.
right. But the Moors did the same thing.
Oh, I don't think the Moors issued a decree of their preeminence across the land.
No, they just did it.
Justified
They didn't
atrocity.
feel a need to issue a decree. They just did it.
Well, so that's the difference. So you're teaching me something today. What did the Moors do that I don't know? That you're alluding to something that is beyond my awareness.
They went and conquered Italy, Spain, France, I think. I know Italy and Spain for sure. I don't know about other countries. Raped and pillaged, took it over.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was speaking so highly of them just last week.
Well, you know, they were an advanced culture, and that's the thing. It's just humans, human beings have a propensity to do bad things. I don't know if having a propensity, we have the ability, like we humans can be as evil as we want to be.
That's fucking hilarious.
End of show. This is our shortest podcast episode ever.
No, but I think you're right. And you know, of course, me being me, I was like looking for a way to put like some kind of positive spin on it, or kind of justify or you know, make it okay. And you know, the best thing I could do was say something stupidly funny.
It worked.
And for now, right? Yeah. Until evil creeps back into this podcast again.
Evil. Oh, that reminds me of Time Bandits. Supreme
what part?
evil.
Oh yeah.
No, what was it? It was the Supreme Being and Pure Evil.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Dang it!
I was stoned all 5 times I watched it.
Oh, was it Supreme Evil? No, I'm looking it up.
All right. Well, Time Bandits, for those of you who don't know, is this amazing movie made by Terry Gilliam, funded by George Harrison and
George Harrison does a lot of the soundtrack, which is pretty awesome.
And it's about this group of little people who get shunted from time to time through these crazy portals, and they're just basically trying to find their way home and stick together. And meanwhile, they're on an adventure of discovery, and it's hilarious.
And it's also kind of got some great insight. So it was just evil, but evil created the most fabulous object in the world, which would lure people into ultimate darkness.
Yeah, kind of like the plot for Heavy Metal, the movie.
Well, that was a lot of plots in Heavy Metal, the movie.
Yeah, there's the one shiny object thing that they used to tie all of the plots together.
I don't
That
remember
would
that.
lure people into darkness. It's a common theme. It's a manifest destiny of movie MacGuffins.
Well, it is also just that, temptation. Like temptation is temptation because it is alluring. If it was like, hey, that's ugly and gross, but come here anyway.
Well, and is it always evil? I don't think so.
I did get a critique from a friend on our last episode. He said we lost him at the Bitcoin talk.
Yeah, well, that's his loss.
Exactly.
We can't please everyone. Was he curious? Did he ask more questions, or did he just gripe?
No, he just said lost him at the Bitcoin thing.
So
he said we had good
meaning he
energy
was too
together.
stupid to understand, or that he got bored, or he had judgment about the fact that it consumes a lot of power. Bored. Yeah. Well, you certainly won't find us to be not boring from time to time. I think it goes with the territory. I mean, it's not Harley Outlaws. It's not, Chevy 150.
Now Harley's going to walk
it's
up to
Moped Outlaws, right? Like
slap our face.
You're supposed to be underwhelmed a little bit.
I thought we were supposed to be hallucinogenic.
Well, I don't know. Maybe this is all an illusion. Maybe what's happening right now.
Been here before. I have been having so many deja vu experiences recently. It's really crazy.
What happens if you have deja vu about having deja vu?
What happens if you have deja vu about having deja vu?
What happens if you have deja vu about having deja vu and having deja vu about having deja vu?
You eat your asshole.
No, thank you. I was having a great dream last night. I dreamed last night that I was piloting a spaceship that could jump through hyperspace. And I didn't exactly know how to make it work, but I knew that where the lever was. And I was like, I made it jump once. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And there were people with me. I don't remember exactly who they were. But then there was I went back into the cockpit to try and jump again to go to a new spot. And the cockpit was covered in dirty laundry. And I couldn't find the lever. I think I was kind of struggling with my covers in my sleep. And then I found the lever and I pushed it and we jumped. And the spot we went to was really weird because there was a space shuttle there, like a NASA space shuttle. And I was like, well, this is a weird universe, but it was miniaturized. Like we went to a world where NASA was as big as a corgi car. And so we were giants. We landed on this world and we were giants. And that was when I woke up.
It's brilliant. I have a question for you. If I got a screenplay that's just off its rocker, just makes no sense to me at all, but I've been offered a role, do you think I should take it just to have the experience of creating a character and working my chops?
Well, as an actor, I think there's this balance between doing work that you'll be happy is out there and be associated with versus doing work because you need to do work to continue to make your craft.
Well, I'm not getting paid, so it would be, to really work the craft, to learn, put energy into
acting.
Right.
So, all right. So there's this context and it doesn't make sense. Does the character make sense to you? Does the being that you're going to bring to life have some value to you?
Well, it's an overlord character, so that's kind of okay, the bad guy.
Okay.
And the reason it sparked because what you just said is kind of the plot of this movie. There's this planet that's hurtling through space with these alien beings, and it comes into Earth's gravitational field and crashes into Earth. But the planet's municipal, it's small. So it's like a little meteor hitting the Earth. But for these beings, it's their planet. But then they take over bodies, and it's so it's so whacked. And part of why I would be okay doing it is because, like, okay, this makes no sense. Let's just go have fun. I'll support your creative vision. I have no idea what this is.
So
It's
you're not
wacky.
getting paid, but you get to play an evil, dark overlord,
Right.
and you're smiling, telling me about it, which tells me you're in already. Like you don't
Oh,
even need my
right.
answer.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's a
and
good litmus test.
it seems to me like you would just love to play a good villain.
Is there such a thing as a good villain?
Well, in the sense of being an actor, there is having a good, juicy villain role to play. Yeah.
Bad, juicy villain. God, what's one of the worst villains you can think of that was just super, like, real evil? I just thought of one, and that's what sparked my
Oh,
question.
tell me. Give me a chance to think of one for myself while you talk.
The Robert De Niro role in, was it Cape Fear? Was that the movie? Where he plays the guy harassing the family of I think it was
I
Cape.
think that's it, but I don't. He wasn't
And
menacing enough for you, or he wasn't scary.
no, he was like, that was fucking evil. He
So
was
why is it a
so
bad
good.
evil? What?
Oh, I'm saying I'm playing off, good evil, like
Oh, I
good.
see. He's good at evil, as
No,
opposed
no,
to.
no. My first joke was, can you really be uh yeah, so it was the remake of Cape Fear, Max Caddy. When you said a good bad guy, I was playing off good as a literal adjective. Can you really be a good bad guy? I knew what you meant.
Yeah, well, David Prowse was a good bad guy, with the little help from the voiceover by Jones, James Earl Jones, and then Robert De Niro and Cape Fear. All right.
Like, now my question is, can you think of a character that was just so fucking bad? Just like, wow. Another one just came to mind. Um, the plantation owner in Django Unchained, just spaced out the actor's name.
Yeah.
He was a great, but I think Robert De Niro was even, I was just so.
Well, he's also like that in Taxi Driver. Very dark,
Very dark. But here's the thing, like
but not overt. Like,
but Taxi Driver, that character was coming from a good place, It was just warped. It was in Cape Fear, there was no good place. He's well aware of it, and he doesn't give a fuck.
yeah. Well, my response probably says a lot more about me than it does about anything really we're talking about. But I think the guy who played Satan in Tenacious D, the Magic Pick, he was a good bad guy. He did a good job.
Yeah, but he wasn't evil. There was nothing evil in that movie. That was all good fun and humor.
So you think?
Well, now you might as well, like, what about the devil in South Park? When he
He's
asked for
he's two-dimensional. He's not three-dimensional enough.
that was two-dimensional acting. You know what I don't like about South Park? It's all two-dimensional acting.
Yeah, evil characters.
You could say that, what's his name from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
But there again, Like there's something about Cape Fear where he would just harm anybody. He didn't care. And even I forget the guy's name, Hannibal Lecter. He had his moral code he lived by.
Yeah, his value
Cape
system.
Fear, he had no moral code at all. That's my experience of that
Hmm.
character.
Hmm. Well, I'm not really thinking of anyone that comes to mind right off the bat that really personifies that. There's a woman who played the lead in Devil Wears Prada. I thought that character had some really sinister aspects to her. Very cold-hearted, very, um
Yes, I hear you. But what about that scene when she's getting a divorce and, and the assistant's like, do you want to take a break or do you want to? And, she's like, no, we're going on. But you could see like she's wrecked. It's hard. It's not a good thing. The show must go on.
right. Yeah.
And then there's that end thing in the car at the very end where she says, people want to be us. And that's when the girl gets out of the car and goes, I don't want to be this.
I'll talk a little bit about a childhood trauma. It's kind of off the subject a little bit, but
Okay.
I grew up being a huge Robert Knievel fan, a huge Evil Knievel fan. And at first it was because of that George Hamilton movie, which romanticizes his life, and even depicts how he kidnaps his wife as part and marries her that way. And, in the movie, it feels really romantic in a way. But then later on, as I got to be older and Evil Knievel's life, stopped being quite so lustrous to me. He was carrying around baseball bats and beating people up in bars, and he was a total racist, and all these horrible things about him. And so I think there's this form of evil that masquerades as patriotism and bravado. And so ultimately, he turned out to be pretty evil as Evil Knievel.
Yeah, and that's a good point of a hero, you know, like I imagine the Native Americans don't really look at George Washington and as a hero.
Nope. You know who else played a really good evil guy is Dave Grohl in Studio 666.
Did you watch it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh my god! All right, so do you
He
see
does a
Whitney
pretty good
Cummings
job of
naked?
it in there. There's moments where you really get, you know, it's campy. It's mostly campy, but
Yeah.
there's a few good moments where, he's pretty good.
Well, in the trailer, like they do have a Red Band trailer, and I saw the barbecue scene. I saw the bedroom scene. That was pretty horrific, man.
Yeah, it's very, very bloody, that movie.
Yeah.
But I think what we're talking really is the kind of the embodiment of malice,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The
Exactly.
spiritual entity enters into the body, and there's this full on embodiment of it.
Right.
I think Ian McDermott as Palpatine on several different levels in Star Wars, he's a great evil
Yeah,
character,
I'd go
Palpatine.
for that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um, and you said George Bush,
I did.
but he
I
wasn't
didn't.
in a movie. So,
Well, I don't know. See, I don't think he was the embodiment of evil.
nope. Wow. I'm
Politics is so whacked. That's the thing. I just think I know I do. I catch myself attempting to go yes, no with politics, good, bad. It's all this and that's the end. Draw a very hard line. And there isn't a
I'll
hard line when you start digging into it.
How very binary of you.
I know, right?
One of the great things about drama, I think, is the way that good drama, well-written drama, well-acted drama actually begins to make us realize that except for the very thin line of decision making, we each could potentially have a very evil expression of ourselves.
Did you see oh dang it, what was the name of the movie? Something Wild. It was like late 80s, I think.
Yeah.
To me, that scene where Ray Liotta and I forget the actor's name who's playing the straight business guy, but where they're facing each other and the camera whips around. So it's like they're on a turntable. That to me was saying how like either one of these guys could have been. It's just there. And I think I've,
Ray Liotta is a really good evil dude.
oh man, he was so good in that movie.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was
Agreed.
scary.
You know, which as far as being a not so good evil guy in Constantine, De Niro plays the devil again, and he's not scary at all. He's not he doesn't feel evil at all in that movie. It feels way to me it really wrecks the illusion of Constantine because of the way he plays that character.
You know where
I didn't buy it.
he was a great devil in the one that took place in New Orleans with oh dang it. Why am I not remembering these names? Okay, I'm looking this up because it's so dang good.
So while he's looking this up, I'm going to do a small ad for MCT Oil. You too can improve your memory and your brain power as you age using MCT Oil in your coffee, in your green shake, or even as part of your sauces. Just remember, as things get older, they get less useful, and you're looking at them.
Oh, dang it, I didn't make it. What was the name of the movie? It was with hold on. One moment,
Well,
please. One moment, please.
one
Cape
moment, please.
Fear, Awakenings,
They're
Goodfellas.
tuning out the audience.
Angel Heart.
The what heart?
Angel Heart with Mickey Rourke.
Okay, yeah. Mickey Rourke and
And Robert De Niro played the devil, which the spoiler alert. A little late on that one. Did you see that movie, Angel Heart?
I don't think I did.
Oh man.
If I did, it was a long, long time ago.
It was a long, long time ago.
I think this is a really good time to bring up that both Greg and I worked in our early lives at a place called Video Droid, which is a video store in Mill Valley. Now, I worked there maybe 6 months to kind of supplement my lifestyle. But Greg, you worked there for quite a while, didn't you?
Yeah, a few years.
One of the things about Video Droid was that they were really, really focused on being able to recommend very high quality film. It wasn't just another place to slap VHS around and to draw the curtain around the porno. It was a place to actually get recommendations from people that were well informed. And so you could go in there and their employee recommendation slot was actually some really, really great stuff. What was like a film that you put on the recommendation shelf one time?
An Australian movie called Bliss.
Ooh, and what was it about that movie that you loved?
It's brilliant for one. The plot, it starts off on this storyline and halfway through switches. So the first half, this guy has a heart attack and he's in the advertising realm, I think. Has a heart attack and experiences heaven and hell.
Whoa.
Comes back and he's wondering if he's really dead and in hell, or is he in heaven, or is he back on earth? Like he's not sure what's going on. And then halfway through it becomes a love story. And it really shifts. It was and it's not a sore thumb. It's a beautiful transition. And I don't know of any other story that did that. Something Wild kind of does, because it's off on this sort of giddy comedic love wild romp, and then it turns intense. So I'd say, yeah, that kind of does.
Harry tries to reform and steer a morally correct path, abandoning most of the trappings of his previous affluent life to the dismay of and disruption of everyone around him. He is seemingly tested by a series of bizarre and frightening events, including being sectioned to a psychiatric hospital. Fighting for his sanity, Harry flees his home and takes up residence in a hotel where he meets a young hippie country girl, Honey Barbara, who prostitutes herself and helps friends sell marijuana on the trips to the city to bring money back to their forest commune. That's just one synopsis. Now, this movie is not to be confused with the 2012 movie or the 2021 film Bliss, which was actually really good too. Like, do you remember that?
No.
Yeah. Yeah. It was amazing. Let me just quickly read the synopsis here. It's it's Owen Wilson and Selma Hayek.
Oh, I did see that. That was brilliant.
Yeah, really
Yeah.
great. And it blurs the lines between reality and our perception of drugs, and that too is a good movie. So if you wanted to get blissed out, get a double feature of Bliss 1985 and Bliss 2021, and just check it out.
Yeah, Bliss 2021. That really, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was solid, because it really, like, I'm left right now with this feeling of it never really told me what was real. It really left it to me to decide what was real and what wasn't.
Yeah. That's one of the great things I think about the best things about movies is when there's an aspect of them that's left open to interpretation. And I think that's why people find these big blockbuster, movies with their perfect resolutions at the end so dissatisfying. It's like, it's like, this is a crazy analogy, but it's like eating an ice cream sandwich that's made with that fake ice cream stuff. It tastes pretty good at first, but when you get to the end, it's like it's this weird aftertaste in your mouth. And you're glad you bought the ice cream sandwich. It was good, but it wasn't really satisfying in the end. It was just like,
that analogy doesn't work, because that fake ice cream sucks. Fuck, it's horrible, man. It's like putting a chemical pack into your mouth.
Right? So why is it a shitty analogy if that's
because there is no, like, that tastes pretty good. It doesn't exist.
You hurt my feelings. Not. Oh my goodness.
Stay tuned for Mark and Greg's next movie, You Hurt My Feelings Not.
Where Mark cries on the podcast for the second time and has to have it cut out before it's posted on Monday.
I don't think you've ever actually cried on a podcast.
Okay.
By the time you got on, you had brought yourself.
I pulled myself together
very nicely. I was impressed. I was like,
yeah,
damn.
Yeah.
All right, so we've gotten way off the track of colonization, racism, and Juan Santamaría.
It's true. I think what I'd like to say about Juan Santamaría that appeals to me is this idea that even against all odds, when someone as powerful as the United States is backing someone, you can, as an individual, take action that changes the course of history. Like, don't ever count yourself out, right? And keep going, keep looking for ways to make an impact. In fact, Michael Franti just released a new song called Brighter Day, I think it's called, which is really about the same thing.
Are we looking up the lyrics of Brighter Day?
Yeah. I'm not looking them up. I just want to make sure I had the title right. So Joe Bob says go check it out.
Joe Bob, there's a throwback.
Yeah.
Talk about horror movies.
Yeah.
Joe
So for
Bob.
those of you who don't know, there was this movie critic who kind of was a send up of movie critics and who embodied kind of the worst aspect of a Southern Texan white guy.
I don't think he embodied the worst. I think he embodied the
He
best.
rated movies based on boobs.
What's wrong with that?
Instead of stars, he talked about, how much flesh was revealed. Yeah, definitely. He was no Siskel and Ebert. Speaking of boobs.
Oh, Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah. He liked campy gore, like kind of what we were talking about that Tarantino and Rodriguez did with that double feature. That was his realm. And he just played with it. He had fun with it, you know?
yeah, and he would once in a while review, movies of the day, but it was really not a serious review.
Right,
It
right.
was a way to kind of purloin and poke holes at movies of the day. And I don't know if you ever reviewed any of the Star Wars movies, which to me are sacrosanct. So Joe Bob Briggs reviewing Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi would probably be something fun to read for me. My blood pressure would go up for sure.
Oh dear. How is your blood pressure?
Today it's great.
All right.
I had a thing happen Wednesday night, which was very uncomfortable. I was all set to go perform at an open mic with my friend Tomas on bass, and I was going to play electric guitar because the open mic allowed like full trio setup. And I'd been rehearsing the material, and it was getting close to time to go, and I wasn't feeling really strong in being able to play all the lyrics or sing all the lyrics properly. I hadn't committed them to memory as well as I was, and so I was getting more and more stage fright, and my anxiety was starting to get really bad. And I was like, I could feel my physiological debilitation, and I sat down and I took a BP reading, and it was so high I had to cancel.
Oh wow.
And then on top of that, afterwards, I was down on myself and feeling really blue because I was like, oh my God, like this is the thing I love the most.
This is what I tell myself I want to do.
Right.
It's
And
been
then,
time to do it.
right. And it wasn't working. I could have literally popped a gasket if I'd gone and done it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, it's not worth it. So I chilled out. I stayed at home. It was all okay. It wasn't a big deal except to me. And then, within an hour of making that decision, my blood pressure had totally changed and I was doing a lot better. And then, I continue on my quest, and yesterday I had some of the lowest readings I've had since I had my incident in December. So I'm on the path.
Very
And
good.
I'm figuring out things, how to make it, work. But paying attention to what stresses me, and it's sad. What I realized is if I had more command of those songs, I wouldn't have gotten anxious.
Well, I
Because I was ready to go and perform some other songs,
right.
but I just decided that once I'd canceled, it was like, no. So
It's
now
over.
I'm going to go just back and rehearse those songs some more until I can sing them perfectly. And then I'll reschedule and go back up there and get back up on that horse and ride.
All right.
It's
Next
funny
week.
too, because in the depth of my anxiety and my shempa and my shame about it, I was like, well, maybe I should just smoke some weed and that'll make it fine. Truly alcoholic kind of thing. And of course, I've got almost 5 years cannabis free. That would have been the worst thing I could do. But it's funny how when you get stressed and your old habitual
Yeah.
evil dude is right back there ready to like kind of.
Yep. Oh, you know what would fix this?
Yeah. So
Right.
last night I went and rehearsed with the band,
Right.
another band doing different songs, and that went great. And when I got home, my BP was one of the best it's been. So music is really healing for me.
Hey,
But
that's what I wanted to mention. I saw now I saw Bridge, as you call her, but Brig. So,
Bridge is her name.
well, she was called Brig on this podcast, and she didn't correct the person,
Okay.
and they seemed like they were friends.
Okay.
Like, does she go by both? We
Well,
will
why
find out.
correct someone in the middle of a conversation unless it's really valuable to do so?
That's true. Okay, so Bridge. All right, so Bridge was on this podcast that I listened to yesterday, and they were both talking about frequencies and how they healing frequencies, and they both were experiencing extreme back pain for different reasons, and both were feeling very healed by these frequencies. And I was wondering if that could be an element that you work with for your blood pressure.
I'm sure it could be. I mean, um, I, th- you know, what I notice is there are moments when the context of what I'm doing is triggers my elevated level of anxiety. And it's not always, I can't always use sound healing treatment in those moments, right?
Right.
So the the game I'm playing, the invitation that the universe has given me is to continue my work to desaturate my sense of traumatization and desaturate my sense of fear and anxiety and in just in general. And then whenever I'm in a situation where my BP goes up, if I'm coming from a reasonably good baseline, I won't necessarily make it into a mountain, right? It'll just be like one of you, like your BP probably goes up sometimes and you don't even notice or whatever, right? So, you know, um, the other point that I had a secondary meeting with the founder and the president of a company in New York who is considering using me as an executive coach.
All right.
And I noticed that during the first meeting, my blood pressure went up. And then on the second meeting with his president and him, I had a much more baseline level. Like once I got into a certain kind of homeostasis in my body, and I just realized there's going to be challenging moments and I can't like give up. I can't, you know, um, just call in sick to life. It's not going to work. So, you know, I love the fact that I'm mature and willing to speak about my health issues in public and to just be seen by the world. I hope that in some small way that my courage and big-hearted willingness to be, transparent in these podcasts and in other ways somehow makes even a small difference in someone's life or maybe a big impact. Just like we were talking about with Juan Santamaría Rodriguez, sometimes you just stand up and you don't come from a long history of greatness. You're not from a wealthy family or from a history of people who've all gone to West Point, but you know that right now, despite the fact that it feels like you're going to die, if you step forward and do the thing, follow your inspiration, it's entirely possible that you'll make a really important contribution to humanity and people will celebrate you and life will be better as a result of you stepping forward with courage. And, I don't do it because I'm narcissistic and I want to be, have a statue made of me or whatever, but I'm, you know, I'm a pleaser. Like I'm a people pleaser. Like I know this about myself. When I was a little kid, it was a survival mechanism. Mommy
You know,
had
it's
to be
funny.
protected
I'm a
because if
people
mommy
pleaser
wasn't
too.
happy, my life was in danger, right? And so
Um,
now it's transformed itself into a really well-honed skill set. And so the idea is to use it consciously and volitionally instead of habitually as a
that's
safety
what
mechanism.
I'm a people pleaser too. Like in my 20s, people used to call me the pleaser.
Yeah. Yeah.
Please Wilker.
Yeah.
Pleaser Wilker.
Right. And it's really a turnoff for women. It's definitely, we think
Oh,
it's
they
what
love
they
it.
want. They love it for friend zone
They
reasons.
used to refer to me as the vibrator.
Really?
Really.
I thought you said they called you the pleaser.
Is there a difference?
The Vibrolux. The monkey dog pleaser.
Yeah. A lot of people, like I hear stories of people that were upset with me, but then when I actually talk with them, I find out they're just stories. That the actual person wasn't ever really upset with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like that incident that you and I know of between you and I, it
Yes.
never really happened because, like, you remember it on Miller. I remember it in your house. It's not real.
Well, it's not real anymore. It was real
I'm a
then,
people pleaser.
right?
That's what
Yeah.
I'm about. Making sure everyone's feeling happy.
Right. To
I,
whether
I
it impacts you or not, with
I tiptoe around your trigger areas.
with vibrating toes.
Exactly.
Here, tiptoe around this trigger area.
Yeah, I
Woo!
like massage your trigger areas. Do you have psychological triggers? Let me massage them into ease for you.
Here, let me poke at your psyche with a sharp stick
No, 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 that's not what I do.
acerbic.
No, no, I vibrate them into ecstasy.
Wow, this podcast has really gone off the rails. See, you never
Ah,
know what you're going to be in for when you strap yourself on the back of a moped with these two guys.
yeah, I think the hallucinogenics are hitting. Hey, have
Yeah.
you started your second year of hermetic?
Yes, absolutely. Our first, well, we've been doing assignments this week. They're relatively simple, but our first gathering of the new cohort is tomorrow. And it's the new cohort, but it's the old cohort. It's everybody that graduated.
Hey,
We're all
Lauren's
referred to
wait,
as adepts
Lauren's
now.
online with us.
Lauren, welcome.
Yeah,
We're going to have a guest sometime soon.
bridge. All right. So I'm sorry to interrupt. You're
Yeah,
saying
we're going to have our first discussion tomorrow, and the assignments we've had this week were to do some, 60-second sermons that are going to be published. So I created a 60-second sermon. I have another one due by the end of the month. We have basically been asked to continue all of the daily practices that we do: journaling, meditation, checking in. And we're going to read, I don't have it right in front of me. So we're going to start reading this book that's, taking us into the next level of hermetic practices, which is going to be about
the sneeches.
the sneeches. That's right. It's about sneeching on each other, sneeches and bleaches and meeches and deeches and peaches, peach pie.
Millions of peaches. Peaches for free.
Yeah. No, there's going to be some magic practice now. This is where we start to work on bringing all of the elements of our discipline together into creating something real out of our imaginings, out of our visions,
All right.
rendering into the three-dimensional plane the possibility of our creation and bringing it forth. And that, doing that from a very practical sense, but also from a hermetic and mystical sense. The other thing I think is worth mentioning is that as we speak live on Friday during this broadcast, a really good friend and heart brother of mine, Bobby G, is having a minor surgery. And he asked me to send him love and light to support him in his health and recovery. And so I'm just calling in the ancestors, the masculine archetypes, the four winds, the four directions, the elements, so that Bobby is well taken care of and is his light and love gets to continue for many years to come. And so it is.
Amen.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see that the California, whoever it is that tests the snowpack, they just did a test. I think it was this last week at the beginning of the week. Did you see that?
No. Tell.
And our snowpack is at 33% of normal.
Wow. So maybe Marin Municipal Water District will put the desalinization plant back online and start building that damn pipeline that they tabled when it rained. It rained one day, and they're like, "Well, maybe we don't really need to do this.
That's
We're
what's
gonna
so
hide
funny.
again."
Yeah, like, our winter, like, our rainy season started off so huge. Everyone was like, "Yay!" The whole restrictions were lifted in Moran, "Yay!" And it's like, "Oh, that was short-lived."
Well,
And
my
I mention
guess
it
is
because
that as you're listening to this on Monday morning,
the
it's
world
raining
has
in the San
come to an
Francisco Bay
end.
Area. No, you're
Oh,
listening
look
and
at
it's raining. That's what's happening right now.
look
You're
what
hey,
Lauren.
Lauren, healing love to Bobby G, she says. See? It's working. The
Yep,
hermetic practice of magic is working.
yep. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nothing serious. He's not in any danger, but
You know
send in
what's
the love.
interesting? I'm on TikTok following this woman in England who got this weird disease out of the blue where she was dying. It was like serious, like, yeah, like she passed out. I forget the name of it, but they had to amputate her hands and like part of her legs and stuff, like super. And check, this is the weird part. They grafted new flesh like onto her hands, and they like had them sewn to her torso so that the torso, like the blood vessels and the living structure of the torso, was feeding this new structure of her hands. And she called him Sharky because like her hand was like this sort of mound of flesh, and she would do these funny little jokes like draw an eye right here, and she went like doo 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 doo. She's got like a really good mindset for what she's been through. And I'm sure she's just showing the best of it. She does talk about the challenges she's had, but it just amazed the F out of me. Like you're talking about how Bobby G has this minor surgery, nothing like what there are some wonderful miracles happening with modern medical practices right now that are pretty amazing.
I agree. Have you seen um
I have twice, and I was amazed.
yeah, it was going to be a good joke except for I haven't had my MCT oil today.
Thus the commercial earlier for those of you who missed it. Take your
Uh,
THC oil, THC.
if I'd said it, it would have been funny, but now it's too late. If I say it now, it's just going to go like, "Woo."
It's too late to fall in love because I'm gonna shoot you in the head.
Oh, jeez. So is this acting out job that you have access to, is it a full length feature or is it
It
a
is,
short?
yeah.
So how
Well,
many scenes are you in?
I don't know. It's one of the main characters.
Oh, so you could have, quite a few lines.
Yeah. And
All
I
right.
was in a commercial yesterday, and I was supposed to be line perfect, all off book, and I wasn't. And I kicked myself in the head. Now I got accolades from the director. It's fine. I'm not happy with my performance. I was not off book, line perfect, and
You're obviously not drinking enough MCT oil.
I'm not fucking starting to study my lines in time to have them off book in time. That's
Mm,
what the problem is. I just
mm.
kept pushing it off.
Are
I
you
did a
angry
lot of
about this?
I am. I'm pissed at myself. What a
Yeah.
fucking idiot. Like what I did in the past 72 hours, I should have started last week because I did great work
Isn't
to
it funny
learn this.
how you go to an audition and they say, "Thank you, that was great. We'll, and right? And it's like you're the director, you said he gave you accolades, but you don't trust those, do you?
Not really.
Right.
I
So there's
got a
this whole like
paycheck.
nice thing that we do for each other in those situations where we just like, but meanwhile,
Well,
right?
I was on so here's the thing. I was on the gig. I had the gig. So if I wasn't doing a good job, they would have stopped me. And the people I was acting with were having trouble also, and they did stop, and accommodations were made for them struggling through the lines.
So it was
But
a
I should have been up.
commercial. It was a
Yeah,
like
an
an
industrial
advertisement.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
not SAG, non-union,
but
an
there
industrial.
was no teleprompter.
No, they did rig one up for the guy, like the person, yeah.
Okay. But
An
you didn't need a
impromptu
teleprompter.
teleprompter. I didn't have one.
But
But
you
and they didn't accommodate me. So I think, like, from a logical perspective,
we'll cut around this guy, but this
wow,
guy we got to
yeah,
get right.
of course. Of course, I'm thinking that. But yeah, and here's what I settled on, because it's interesting, that interview with Bridge. She was talking about her own voices of critical speak,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
the work she's done to heal that and rise through that. Um, so luckily, like, I'm listening to that while this voice in my head's going, "You suck. They're gonna cut your shit." And so what I've landed on is the lesson for me is to do better with the responsibility of having my lines known.
Yeah, agreed. Prepare better.
Yeah.
And that little voice of evil's always lurking, ready to undermine ourselves. And we got to be more kind to ourselves.
Be more kind to yourself.
If you're
Stroke
going to
yourself.
people please yourself.
People, please yourself. Another word for masturbation.
Yeah.
People, please yourself. PPY.
Louie.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Go
We
on
got to go
down.
now.
Go
Yeah.
down. Yeah, there's one line, like, if she's on the rag, I'll work above.
No.
I wonder if you look up dirty lyrics of Louie
Well, I'm sure
Louie.
there's, dirty lyrics, but I have the lyrics right here.
Fine little girl, she waits for me. Me catch the ship for cross the sea. I sail the ship all alone. I never think me make it home. 3 nights and days, me sail the sea. Me think of girl constantly. On the ship, I dream she there. I smell the rose in her hair. Me see Jamaica moon above. It won't be long. Me see my love. Me take her in me arms, and then I tell her I never leave again. So that's the lyrics you have?
Yep. That's it. Nothing in there about anything, you know, untoward.
Wow, check this out. The FBI got involved with the song. That time the Indiana teens ratted out dirty Louie Louie lyrics, and the FBI got involved. Two small town teenagers got upset with the obscene lyrics they heard in a new rock and roll song on the radio. So they did something about it. They wrote to their governor.
Well, there's nothing dirty about these lyrics.
Well, I think what happened is they heard the lyrics and
What they heard was their own dirtiness from within their head.
right, exactly.
Right? That's it. It's that same thing. It's that Shempa, that part of us that's lurking there for disapproval.
Yeah. So many people, like, I remember yeah, and Wish You Were Here. And Mike and I had a disagreement about the lyrics. And he thought it was, no, I forget what he thought. There was the line with the fish. Are we the same fish with hooks in our mouth? Louie Louie, whoa.
Oh my Lord.
Well, brother.
Next week we'll talk about real dirty songs. How about that? We'll bring up songs like Darling Nikki and what's the one from Spinal Tap?
Big bottom.
Big Bottom. Yeah.